Energy is going through a period of rebuilding. Let's talk now to the Deputy CEO who joins us now on the platform here. It's Michael Watts. Michael, it's an interesting period you're going through, but let's start off first of all with the Oil Council and why you're here. I know that you were one of the first speakers a few years ago, and this has grown enormously. And has the interest overall grown in the sector, or is it just that this event, one-off event, has become bigger than it was?
No, it's definitely become bigger than it was. I think it's a success story as a conference. You've only got to be attending this morning. There were an awful lot of heavy hitters, CEOs making keynote speeches. So I think Ross Campbell, who's the main organizer, has done a fantastic job putting this conference on the map. And for people like coming to these things for networking. So
yeah. As I said at the top, Cairn Energy is going through this process of rebuilding and re-establishing shareholder value. What is your strategy at the moment? Because I know you were Greenland and India was the big story for Cairn, wasn't it, at one point?
That's right. I mean, I think over 20 odd years we built a very successful business in India, and the time came for us to return shareholder value. So we've given back about $4.5 billion of value. We've left as a legacy in country a company called Cairn India, which we only own 10% of now. But that is a going concern business, and it's now totally Indian owned and Indian managed.
Is it a long-term strategy to come out of that completely?
It is. It's part of the Cairn strategy. It's create value, add value, and then realise value. So it's a sawtooth strategy we have as a company, and I think it's borne fruits several times in the past. Greenland, we've been unsuccessful so far, but we're very keen to go back to drilling in Greenland, probably in 2014, and I think people have seen the industry interest this year. Shell, Conoco, Tullow, they've all come into Greenland and have been very active. So, like most things in life, it's about timing.
Yes.
But we are repositioning the company, you're absolutely right, and this year we gave ourselves an objective to redeploy cash, retain cash, and we've bought two companies, one a Norwegian company owned by the Rothschild Bank, and a UK listed company. Those two acquisitions have given us a footprint in the North Sea and impending cash flow.
We hear a lot about the North Sea. What about the North Sea continental shelf? I mean, some would say it's a has-been, but there seems to be renewed interest in it. What's your interest, and how do you see your relationship with the North Sea moving forward?
Obviously, the North Sea is a mature province. It's probable that the majors actually switched off their interest in the North Sea slightly early. There have been a number of discoveries. Buzzard is a classic example that have been found relatively recently, and therefore if you're a well-funded company focused on creating value, I think it's still possible to make exploration finds, which is organic growth. I think the large fields of the past will not be there. Right. That's why we've got this twin track strategy of focusing also on Norway, where Norway is less explored, less mature, and I think larger finds are still able. But so the two areas together, in a very politically safe area, commercially understood, it makes I think sense for us.
There's a big drive from the British Treasury as well, isn't it, to bring companies back to the North Sea? It's a fiscal a change in fiscal attitude. Is this a big decision maker for you, or was it?
We always look at technical risks, commercial risks, and political risks, and those countries which are trying to stimulate investment are attractive to us. And I think the UK, has ebbed and flowed over the years, but I think there's a recognition to attract investment. You need to make it fiscally attractive. And one of the things I always find interesting is one country in the world attracts 40% of the global investment in the exploration business, and that country is the USA, and that's because they've got political, technical and commercial risks in the right spot, and that's the base mark for other countries to follow.
Where do you see Cairn in, let's say, 12 months' time?
12 months' time, I think the rebuilding, the repositioning should be almost over. We'll have created at least 3 new focused areas. One is the North Sea, UK, Norwegian part of the North Sea. One is the North Atlantic margin. Greenland is part of that, but we're actively pursuing other opportunities in the North Atlantic margin. And the third area is the North Africa Mediterranean area. and I think I would say we're building the pieces of a jigsaw. We've put the corners in place, we've put the straight edges in place, and over the next 12 months we'll be filling in the picture.
Okay, look, Michael, it's a pleasure to speak to you. Thanks indeed for joining us. Michael Watts is the Deputy CEO at Cairn.